Honorable Attorney General, I received many colleagues giving me calls, wanting to get an update on issues to do with the recent ruling of the Supreme Court. Also, many Ugandans of interest. And their biggest issue was what next and what are you doing about it as a government. So I don't know if you have an update you can give us, and then we move on.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, a judgment was delivered on Friday in Supreme Court Constitutional Appeal
procedure.
Number 2.
Attorney General, we have procedure.
Mr. Speaker, we are in a very complicated situation. The Attorney General is the one who wanted the military to try civilian. He is the one who went to court. He is therefore a party to this case. So the procedural issue I am raising is whether after his comment, you will allow us, those who subscribe to the other party also, to make some comments, because he's a party. This one, Honorable Chiriowa, is the one who wanted the military to try with his civilians.
Yeah, thank you. Two things. Number one, I don't look at him as a party to the case now. I look at him as a chief legal advisor of government who was given directives to implement by the court. So it's from that background. Now we are no longer having issues. The issues were settled at court level. Number two, Honorable, you know, I'm usually generous on such issues. This is part of my communication. I gave a colleague a chance to speak here. After speaking, I saw him on TV saying the speaker doesn't allow us to speak. So I wanted to drop him a call and say, but my brother, today you spoke 4 times in the house, and then you're now on TV saying the speaker doesn't allow us to speak. And when you're speaking, he said, no, I was the presiding officer that day. So, but it happens, eh? It's part of, we are in politics, we are in many things, but I will allow you, honorable colleagues, because I did this because of the many calls I received from colleagues. That's why I said, Honorable Attorney General, please.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for your wise guidance. Like I said, judgment was delivered on 31st January 2025. We received a signed judgment on Sunday, 2nd February 2025. We rendered advice dated 3rd February 2025. As you can see, the record speed. And we advised as follows, Right Honourable Speaker, that 1, all pending criminal trials in the General Court Martial should cease forthwith. 2, that the General Court Martial in liaison with prisons authorities should provide a list of all criminal cases involving civilians pending before the General Court Martial for onward transmission to the courts to determine the appropriate court to handle the matter. 3, the General Court Martial should provide a list of all pending criminal cases involving members of the UPDF pending before the court martial that fall within the categories of transfer for onward transmission to the courts for determination of the appropriate court to handle the matter. 4, the Director of Public Prosecutions is advised to liaise with the General Court Martial and the UPDF to take over the conduct of the ongoing criminal trials that have been identified for transfer. 5, the Uganda Prisons Authorities are advised to await the process above and orders of competent courts regarding any matters concerning detention of accused persons hitherto facing trial in the military courts. 6, the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs is also advised to immediately commence consideration of the recommendations of the Supreme Court with a view to introducing appropriate amendments to the UPDF Act. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, I have also written to the Honourable the Chief Justice and requested the Honourable the Chief Justice to advising him that we have commenced the implementation of the court orders and sought for advice on the person with whom the DPP should liaise for purposes of effecting these orders. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. No, I want all these issues will be handled in my, because it was part of my communication. Yeah. So we have one colleague here who was among the councils. So Honourable Ssegona.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. First of all, I want to express gratitude to the Attorney General that he was able, unlike the tweets that we saw, which clearly said that these suspects or some of them would not be released, at least the Attorney General has indicated the willingness to have the court order implemented, notwithstanding, of course, instances where he must have read these orders upside down. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, as the Attorney General was communicating, I have been really touched and concerned about a number of issues. The Attorney General knows very well that a person can only be held in prison on a valid warrant. The order of court, which literally dismantled, and I mean literally, not technically, dismantled the orders of the defunct court-martial, caused the warrants upon which these people were remanded to expire. But in the case of retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye and Haj Obeid Kamlegea, even without the orders of the Supreme Court, the warrant itself was expiring on Monday, yesterday, and it did expire. So, my question to the Attorney General, currently for these people or persons that are being held, on whose orders, on whose valid warrants do they continue to be in prison? The second, Right Honourable Speaker, relates to the DPP liaising with the General Court Martial. What is the DPP's business? The DPP is empowered under the law to commence prosecutions against any person of her choice, provided there is evidence she has before her. The reverse is not true, that the DPP goes around fishing for cases. Number three, Right Honourable Speaker, but this time they are telling the DPP to be the one to go around fishing cases from persons that have been conducting business illegally. Do not forget that until Friday, 31st, there was a decision of the Constitutional Court which declared that this is not a court of law. So whatever they have been doing, they secured an interim order from the Supreme Court, and the order was to stay execution. Execution in this case was purely the transfer of files from the General Court Martial or from the Courts Martial to the civil courts. You could not stay a declaration. You can't stay a declaration. That declaration, that interim order was used by the General Court Martial, not DPP, to continue and to commence fresh prosecutions. Thirdly, Right Honourable Speaker, from the Attorney General's communication, I have not even heard anything to do with timelines. Timelines, so as long as they are doing their consultations, these people can be in prison now on orders of the Attorney General. Where, under the law, does the Attorney General get the powers to remand or continue an illegal remand or to detain? Literally what he has done is to amend the orders of court. Finally, I received information from the Honourable Semiju.
Thank you very much, Medard. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The information I wanted to give to Honorable Medard and Parliament is that yesterday our lawyers who represent Dr. Besigye and Ajobed visited the Commissioner General of Prisons. And he said his understanding was that people needed to leave, Besigye and Ajobed needed to leave his prison on Friday when the judgment became effective. And he said he was there seated waiting for the Attorney General. Up to yesterday, the Attorney General had disappeared from him. The last time this happened, the last time people were in Ruzira on no warrant was after the fall of Idi Amin. I interviewed Brigadier Ssegona when I was a journalist. And he said they were driven to Ruzira and they were told, you go there, the warrant will come. So effectively, I didn't know that things that were done by Amin soldiers and after can be done by Honorable Chiwano Kachiriowa almost 40 years later. That's the information I wanted to give you.
I thank you for the information, apart from the last one, which was not information, relating to what you did not know that Honorable Chiriowa Chiwanuka can do. Right, Honorable Speaker, I do not want to end at criticizing and critiquing my brother. I think I want to give some way forward. If I were in his unenviable position, this is what I would do. From Friday through to Monday, I would not sleep. I would require the information from the General Court Martial relating to all prisoners that are held on orders of the General Court Martial, now deceased. From that point, I would advise government to sieve out all political prisoners, matters which are not pure crime, and say, let us go and do the honorable thing of withdrawing. That someone can continue to be in prison, and the Attorney General is busy advising on somebody who was putting on a beret, a red beret, whether he should remain in prison. The third thing I would do, and for more than four years now, third thing I would do is to advise the police to immediately approach the General Court Martial, obtain all those files where we feel it is pure crime, a suspicion of crime, not suspicion of politics. Then I would advise that police would get those people from wherever they are upon release. But for you, you cannot say you are complying with the court order without releasing these people. At least do the ugly thing you've been doing of arresting them at the entrance or exit of the prison, the same way you've been arresting them from court. But any continuity in detention is illegal. Finally, I am concerned as a leader in this country. Immediately upon release of the judgment, Colonel Chris Magezi, who is said to be an assistant to General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, issued a statement which he called the official statement from the UPDF. And it was clear and categorical. They shall not be released until General Museveni, the commander-in-chief, gives us orders to release them. And that is the basis upon which we challenged the constitutionality of the court-martial, because it is dependent on orders of the chairman of the High Command, who is General Museveni. Membership includes his son, who is now tweeting to say we cannot release. Mr. Speaker, for how long are we going to continue like this as a country? You have a dignified